Hi. If you've accessed this video, it may be because you have already submitted an abstract in response to the ETA's call for papers. If you have, congratulations. This video aims to offer presenters support with structuring their presentation or workshop. It addresses these two questions. It will explore different kinds of practices and strategies you can use for organizing your peers and engaging them in learning. So let's jump in. Regardless of whether you are facilitating a session for high school students or your English teaching peers, it can be helpful to think about how you will involve participants in learning. This advice is adapted from Sawyer, Isabel and Marissa's work on effective structures for continuing professional development. If you would like to read more about this advice, you can access the link in the video description. Sawyer, Isabel and Marissa emphasize that your colleagues have a wealth of knowledge and experience to draw on, and they want to understand how the opportunity you are providing them could work in their particular context. Sawyer et al. Name 4 groups of activities or processes that can activate participants to think and reflect on the content of your session. Luckily for us, they are quite memorably named along the lines of the experience of Neolithic hunter-gatherers, which make them easy to remember, namely icebreakers, cave time, watering holes, and campfires. Most will be familiar with the concept of an icebreaker. This could be as simple as a question that you ask at the beginning of the session. The goal of the icebreaker is to precipitate initial engagement for each participant. It may strike you as a bit silly to spend some of your time doing this, but given the goal would be to open up communication between you and participants, this step is crucial. Andy Boone and Tony Fazielli in Professional Bodies and Continuing Professional Development, a case study, suggests that there are strong arguments that professional growth and personal development are achieved most effectively in a cooperative and collegial learning environment. Icebreakers are most effective when they support collegiality, and since you already share lots in common with your participants, an icebreaker that draws attention to the shared experience will work a treat. A final word on icebreakers. Though this advice applies to any activity you plan for the session, participation may be aimed at developing social bonds and opening each other up to communication, but keep in mind that it is possible some participants may be encountering invisible barriers to participation, so making icebreakers accessible in modes other than speech may be helpful for some. An icebreaker like the one previously mentioned, where I ask a question about a common recent experience of my participants, could also be an instruction like, instead of volunteering your experience, draw a picture or write down in a list one or more of the challenges you faced in your work this term. The second practice is called cave time, a richly evocative metaphor connoting isolation and introspection. Cave time are those activities that allow participants to engage with material that they may be new to them. For example, in a workshop on using digital tools in the English classroom, cave time might look like the participants reading a list of descriptions of different tools curated by you and answering questions about their familiarity or interest in these different tools. In a workshop about understanding the verb progressions in the new syllabus, cave time might involve participants reading some of the content in the new syllabus and applying their knowledge about different taxonomies, perhaps after a refresher by you, to create different inquiry questions based on that content. Cave time is characterized by focus and introspection. Typically, it is the part of the workshop that involves participants engaging in reading, writing, or similar activities. You may have noticed that in each of my examples, I referred to suggested actions for you as the facilitator. In order for cave time to function properly, the preparation of sufficient stimuli is important, providing sufficient detail in the stimuli for the planned duration. The next grouping of activities is called a watering hole. A watering hole is halfway between cave time and a campfire. To extend the metaphor, watering holes are communal spaces where many come together to drink, but unless you're a mother bird, you don't drink for others. Watering hole activities are typically ones where you act in the context of a group, but your actions are still your own. Watering holes are excellent activities for earlier in the workshop, since participants can view the parallel actions of their peers. In the aforementioned workshop on using ICT in the English classroom, the population of a T-chart or a table where each participant shares IC tools they have used in one column and tools they would not use again in another is an example. Watering holes allow participants to work alongside others and further produce opportunities for social bonds through interactions precipitated by observing similarities and differences in approaches to the activity. It is important to use instructions clearly to differentiate watering holes from campfires, the last category, by emphasizing parallel participation. In a campfire, participants share. These activities typically come after cave time and watering holes, as those activities foster the engagement necessary for robust participation in a campfire. You might use the T-chart or table produced in the example watering hole as the starting point for a verbal sharing session. Campfires are most effective when they are structured explicitly to support the participation of all. Instructions that emphasize roles, for example, a breakout group holding a campfire might assign a participant to the role of chair or conch holder, are most effective. By thinking about the different kinds of grouping and activities, you will help support participation and collaboration, which will ensure your workshop will be remembered as collegial and useful by attendees. Thanks for watching.